Hello.
Finally, something's going right for you. Ha 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 ha. Oh man, how you doing?
Good. Having quite a long layover in Iceland. So very happy to chat with you because I'm a bit bored. So this might be a long one because I don't have anywhere to go. So unless my phone dies, we have plenty of time, man.
All right. When does your flight depart?
In like 4 hours.
Oh shit! Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long is your layover?
Like 14 or 15 hours.
All right. That's a long one.
I'm a cheap ass, you know. I could have had a quicker one, but nah. I'll save every penny now for Arizona.
Oh, sneak peek! You're coming back to Arizona.
Of course, man. Now I'm more than ever motivated.
Why more than ever?
I have something to prove now. and I promise to myself and all the others that I'm gonna read the rules, read the facts, read everything. I'll read the small letters, everything. I will get all the permits. I already know about the permits that I have to sort out before I get a.
Yeah, well, I don't think you have anything to prove. I think I guess the only thing that you have to prove is that you read all the rules and all the small print and the FAQ. But whenever it comes to racing your bike, I don't think there's anything left to prove. I think you showed up on the course and put any questions about that to bed.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the trail is something crazy. It's a beautiful beast. It's gorgeous. It's fantastic, but it's also, I mean, it hurts. I thought I've done the homework pretty good. I chose the right bike, but the components, there's some other components that I could have chosen differently, but yeah. So I mean, it's I just see this more and more like the races, like Tour Divide example, right? Like when I got there for the second time, I could cut off quite a big chunk of time from my previous attempt, and I think it's the same here. I mean, that was my thoughts going there. That probably the guys who have ridden the trail know it, and it's a huge advantage. But so, I mean, that just got confirmed. If I would do it again, I know a lot more.
Yeah. You think there's still some time you could shave away? Because what was the previous FKT?
I think 3 days, 19 hours or something like that, like under 4. I know clearly that was under 4. And I know that I could shave quite a good chunk of what I did.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we should just start at the very beginning. Well, not at the very beginning. We should start around the middle of your race. But I want to just right off the bat kind of clarify any confusion. I want to get an idea of like what your understanding is of the situation because, I feel like it's worth talking about because not everybody that tunes into this podcast is going to be immediately probably aware of like what went on behind the scenes. And so I think it's worth just right off the bat. And I think a lot of people are going to be tuning in to hear your thoughts on what happened from your perspective. So, just as a starting point, you were the first finisher of the Colorado Trail Race this year. You finished 12 hours ahead of Xavier that came in next, but might be the first place finisher. So just as a starting point, like what is the incident that occurred that is in question and may have been a rule violation?
So the rules of Colorado Trail are very simple and there are only 4. And I really love that approach, because I love the last sentence the most, that this is not don't try to cheat, because this is not, it would be just bullshit. And I kind of turned it off there. I didn't read the rest, or the appendix, or the FAQs, in which, or in those FAQs, there was explanation of, or like deep dive in some rules. And the first rule is be self-supported, right? But what's different from all the other races where self-supported is a rule, but if your bike, if you experience a mechanical which is unrideable, I would say more often than not, you can hitchhike or use any kind of transportation to get to a nearest bike shop, fix it, and come back to the exact same spot and continue the race or the ride. So that's what I did. But in those explanations, or if in FAQs, there is a question, or someone asked that question, what if that happens? So Colorado Trail Race is a bit more strict about that than all the others. And there it stated that in that case, you need to walk, crawl, or reach the bike shop however you want, but you can't use motorized transportation. And as soon as you do that, you're kind of out.
Yeah. So what did you do?
I broke
What did you
my
do,
rim.
Justinas? What did you do?
I'm a criminal. I broke. No, like
You're going to bikepacking jail. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a badass. No, so I was, yeah, like, to start a bit from behind. So from the start, the first day I blew out my doors completely. So I kind of rode too hard, too deep, and then I suffered on the climbs. I couldn't, like, the altitude and everything made it difficult. But I would have lots of fun descending. So the second day, I was descending from Kokomo Pass down towards Leadville. And there's like this section with lots of, like, double track, but lots of stones. And I was there quite early in the morning, and I was not alone on the trail. And there was a hiker, and the hiker had earpods, and he was enjoying his hike. I was shouting from behind, blistering, making all sorts of noises, but he couldn't hear me. And I had to leave the nice smooth line and get into the proper rock garden. And there I, hit the rock pretty badly with both wheels, but the rear one didn't survive. And first, I mean, the sealant didn't help. I had a liner, but that didn't stop that either from kind of cracking the rim. So I put in the tube, and that worked. And the problem was that kind of spokes got loose. Some of the spokes got loose, so the wheel got out of trim. I was still able to ride it, and I reached the trailhead, like the Tennessee Pass. And from there, you kind of follow the trail. And I was like, should I? So now it's very easy to be smart, after things happen. So I should probably have taken the road down to Leadville, and that would have saved the wheel. I mean, because it wouldn't have got more impact, and I would have reached Leadville on my own power, and could have rode back to where I left the trail. But I chose to ride the trail, as I thought maybe I'll be able to nurse the wheel. But like a couple of miles or 3 miles, I don't know. I haven't checked on Strava yet, like detailed. The rear wheel exploded, like the tube that was in, like, and it blew off the tire, and it got out the wheel, and I saw the wheels, not just a crack, but now it's like completely broken.
Yeah.
So then I had to just think, and in that instance, my only thought was, okay, I need to get back to the trailhead, hitch a hike to Leadville, get the wheel, because it was like early in the morning, or like not so very early, but like at 9-10 in the morning. So I knew that there are bike shops in Leadville and I could get it fixed. That's what I did. Like I hope I have hidden my bike in bushes, took only the rear wheel out with me because I needed to reuse the cassette and the disc rotor, a brake disc rotor. And yeah, I walked back to the trailhead, got the car, like the car stopped and gave me a ride to Leadville, got the new wheel, and yeah, I got back to then I walked across the Leadville to the intersection, got the new car back to back to the trailhead, walked back to the bike, found the bike still there in the bushes, nobody touched it. Put the wheel back in, and yeah, continued racing from there on, but not knowing that I've done something wrong.
Yeah. When you after your initial impact with the wheel and it kind of fucked it up, but you were able to keep riding. At that point, were you riding further and further away from Leadville, or were you still kind of going towards Leadville?
Towards Leadville, yeah. It happened before Leadville, yeah. So I was, so that's why I was like, so now I would have probably taken like if the situation would have happened now, so I probably would have taken road, because from Tennessee Pass there's like a road section, and we joined kind of the same road later on with the trail as well.
Okay, so how far away from Leadville were you?
I think someone looked at it, and it was like 10 miles or something like that. So it would have taken me some time to walk, and I would have needed to say no thank you to many cars that would have probably stopped and asked, like, what are you doing here on this road?
Yeah. So what's interesting about this whole thing is I have not personally seen, and it might maybe out there, and I'm wanting to get your personal insight, but I don't know who actually won the Colorado Trail Race this year. Bikepacking.com is the only place where I've seen that they've announced him as the winner. But in their article, it says that it mentions you and your scenario. And the quote on their website says, ultimately, the race director will have the final say in this matter. But that's what we know at the moment. And the race results aren't published on Colorado Trail Race website, and I haven't seen anything on the CTR Facebook group from Hefe, and I haven't seen anything from Hefe yet. So, what have you heard? I just clear up any confusion. Like, what do you know is actually happening with that?
I haven't gotten any official results either. I think, yeah, so as you said, there's just like bikepacking.com that kind of were first out, and I was there to meet Javier when he finished. So yeah, when I finished, there was no one. Like there were my trail angels, as they call them, and there was a guy taking pictures, but he had nothing to do with bikepacking.com. But when Javier finished, so yeah, there was a lady, I don't remember her name, but she was there and took pictures, and there were quite a few people meeting and greeting Javier.
But no one came to greet you?
No, because I'm a criminal. Yeah.
I would have come to greet you. From what I've seen, huh?
That would be nice.
Yeah, dude, that's unfortunate. I mean, you keep saying you're a criminal, but the fodder that I've seen on the internet has been very supportive of you overall. I mean, there's some discussion about the rules and FAQs and all this kind of stuff, but it does seem like in general the outpouring of support, or you are receiving an outpouring of support from the community.
I mean, I'm overwhelmed about that. Like, I just wanted, like, the whole point of that, like, if this would concern only me, you know, if I would be just like a privateer, so I wouldn't care much. I know what I did. I know how I rode. I know what I used and so on. And that wouldn't matter much. But in this day and time, I'm forever thankful for the sponsors that allow me to get there. And the reason they do that is because I kind of pay back with a time or like the recognition they get after those races or from those results. And then when the things like this happen, when you kind of finish first but they can't use anything of that, and there's lots of uncertainty, so you kind of, you don't give them, you don't pay them back what they deserve, and that's probably the saddest thing, and that's why I kind of put that up, or like my perspective of what happened.
Yeah. Well, they say there's no such thing as bad news, and there's a chance that this may receive just as much, if not more, publicity and just internet chatter and acknowledgement from the community. Who's to say which one would have got more? But it's certainly blowing up my personal feed on Instagram and Facebook. I'm seeing quite a lot during the race. There was a lot of discussion going on, and it seems to be ongoing afterwards. But so as far as like you genuinely don't know, you haven't heard from Hefe, you don't know what.
We talked briefly, or like we exchanged some emails, and I kind of explained to him what happened and how it happened, and I understand his point as well. I mean, because that's written there. I mean, it is not in the rule. It is in FAQs. But yeah, so we kind of agreed to disagree. So that's he did acknowledge my ride, and he congratulated me on a great ride. So I mean. And the work he does, it's amazing. I have nothing personal against him. And I think to do such a thing, to organize such a race is incredible in its own.
Yeah. So I think that's important to keep in perspective. I mean, these are free races that are run by volunteers, and Hefe, I've had him on the podcast. He seems like a great guy, and certainly not trying to throw any shade in his direction. But, as these things happen, I think it's worth discussing. And you've been riding your bike, and again, there's been a lot of talk on the internet, and I haven't been able to get a clear understanding of what the actual ruling was. I haven't seen Hefe weigh in. It sounds like to you that he's weighed in as disqualifying your. Did you finish the Colorado Trail? Were you disqualified? Do you have a time with an asterisk? Like, do you have any idea of how that's going to be recorded?
I just got like an official, one of these deep emails just said that, my time counts toward Triple Crown.
Oh, it does.
But yeah, or at least that's what he said. So as I said, but all this is unofficial until he stated that officially somewhere.
Yeah.
So he might also change his mind. I don't know. But that's what he said to begin with. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
because I don't know.
Well, okay. I mean, that's one of my next questions is, how does this, and we haven't really talked about it yet, but, for the record, you won Tour Divide this year. And I'm going to dig deeper into this, but at some point you decided to, I guess, just go for the Triple Crown this year, which is Tour Divide, CTR, and AZT. But one of my questions is, how does this potentially impact your overall time for a qualifying Triple Crown? Because do the Triple Crown rules match the CTR and AZT rules, or does the Triple Crown rule say you can, you can hitch a ride, and as long as you do 100% of the route, the actual route under your own power, hike, crawl, walk, bleed, whatever you need to do, does it still qualify? So what do you know about that, if anything?
Don't know much. Not much more than you do. So it's lots of uncertainty, but what I know for fact that in Tour Divide you can hitchhike, right? So it would be strange, or it is, that makes it more complicated or more strange that for example, Tour Divide, you can hitchhike and everything's fine, but then comes CTR and AZT where you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird. There's ambiguity and or just differences in the rules, and I think that makes it a little bit confusing, especially when you're trying to do like a triple crown attempt where it would seem like you would want a unified set of rules. If those make up one achievement, if you complete all three, then they equal this one achievement being the triple crown. You would think it would make sense to have one governing set of rules for those three events, but I'm just a guy on the internet talking.
And I'm just a guy riding the bike, so I don't know all these nuances either. But your thinking is good. I think that's what it's missing, or like what maybe that's how it's done. Like if you have completed all three under your own power, then it's all good. But there are nuances for every race. Like to be a winner or qualified as a winner, maybe you need to follow the exact rules of every race. But just to be a triple crown finisher, or to achieve the triple crown, you have to finish all these three events under your own power. That would explain it. But if that's how it is, I don't know. Like I think the other problem, or like that Tour Divide doesn't have an official organizer, right? I mean, there's no one organizing it. So that's why the rules are different. Like probably there are no exact rules. I have never seen like Tour Divide rules. I just know it's unsupported or like self-supported ultra cycling race across the continent, like or following the Continental Divide Trail.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Like, who decides what is a qualifying Triple Crown run? Like, there's no governing body. There's no group of people that sit down and decide and have listed a clear set of rules that I'm aware of, unless that's come out. But in lieu of that, who decides what is a validated Triple Crown?
I think that's why we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Because until now, I mean, and I think this is going to be more and more popular further ahead of us. Like there's going to be definitely more people trying to achieve that and do that. And in order so that they would feel safe and know what they're doing. So maybe they should be kind of not organized as should be a race organizer for Tour Divide, but maybe at least the rule set should be made more clear. What you have to do in order to complete or to achieve the Triple Crown.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that, I mean, as I've hosted this show, is a conversation that comes up periodically, and it's always surrounding one of these larger races, Tour Divide, Colorado Trail, or AZT, and they are getting more popular, and we're finding kind of chinks in the armor of these races. And I think the thing that makes the most sense for the race directors and the riders is just to clear up any confusion. I don't know the best way to go about doing that, but it would make sense to just have a set of rules that's agreed upon and that are understood by the community at large, and I don't necessarily want to see a major governing body come in and bastardize the sport. I think that's the thing everybody's scared of, me included, is like seeing a UCI come in, and we're way, way, way far away in any UCI conversation, but just in general, like some kind of organization coming in and like capitalizing, monetizing, bastardizing this beautiful sport. But it's just, whenever you keep hearing issues, not just you, but other racers have been kind of victim to rules and misunderstandings. You just want to give everybody a fair playing field. That's what it comes down to at the end. And I think us as a community will be better served, and the race directors and the riders will all be better served with just like a really clear understanding of what all the rules are. I mean, even with the like Triple Crown, like who's running that show? Who gets to decide? I don't think anybody knows. I think it's just
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And one part was the comments, right, under the post, but not everybody wrote the comments, and a lot of people reached out on the DMs to me. And one guy actually had a good point, or a point, when he just said like, and that what he had thought about working on for a while, and it's just like universal bikepacking rules, like just to have a set of rules that every organizer could use as a starting point. And if the race is like Colorado, I mean, I agree totally that not all the races should follow absolutely the same rules, but if they have rules that are different from other races, they should be stated in the rules.
Yeah.
And that's what could make these confusions a bit less often. If those are like, there would be universal rules for all the races, and every organizer then would add the one that is just for their own race.
Right. Yeah. So you would essentially like I'm a race director. I could ultimately like copy and paste those rules and then add on as needed or as I felt appropriate for like my events.
Exactly. Yeah. And if motorized transportation is not allowed, you just add that rule, and then that's clear. Like it's written down there, and you see it, and as a participant, you agree to that, and that's it.
Yeah. So you as a racer, and I mean a very prominent and successful racer, like what would you like to see happen, not just with the CTR, but just in regards to this conversation at large? What do you think is a good solution, a good path forward to help clarify or clear up any confusion in the future?
So one of the reasons as well, like for the post, for my statement, was just I wish that more people, like, because now I have some followers, I have some I can spread some word. So I just wanted to make it clear for the others that also wouldn't get into the same kind of trap. And that's what I wished for Hefe as well. I wanted just like, okay, this happened, but we can like, it definitely can be done better and can be fixed for the future races. Like like, as I've been told many times now that, yeah, this is an old rule and this everybody knows it, but I don't know that. I'm not sure about that, because I talked to quite a few riders after I finished, and very few knew about that. And if they would have happened to have a mechanical, most of them would also have hitchhiked. I mean, it depends where you are. I mean, if that would happen in a different time of the day, let's say at night, right? What are the chances that I would have got a ride? None.
Yeah.
Like, I would have needed to walk anyway. Then I would have needed to walk, but now I knew the time of the day is different, and I knew that the cars are passing, so I just used that. But it also could have happened somewhere between Buena Vista and Silverton. that part of the trail is a bit of a good luck, mate. If you're gonna catch a car there, you've done something good. I mean, there's not many cars passing on those trails.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, man. It's really I mean, and to piggyback on what you said again, I'm not a big racer. I follow racing. It's my favorite sport to watch. But I'm not a racer. I do a couple races every once in a while just for fun. But I had no idea that was a rule. Like whenever I was following along the race and somebody mentioned you getting a ride to go fix your wheel, my first thought was, who cares? Justinas is going to leave the trail. He'll hitchhike a ride. He'll get right back on the trail where he left off, and he'll keep going. Like it didn't even occur to me that could be potentially a problem. When was the first time that you heard anything about a potential disqualification or an asterisk or whatever we're going to call it?
Actually,
A rule
so
violation.
that happened actually in Leadville because Neil Bolchenko was there. He was
Ah,
there with his camera. He was coming back from family holiday, he said, and he was just happened to run around Leadville, and he just bumped into me when I was going towards intersection with my wheel and yeah, my bag of resupplies. And he said that, oh wait, there's something strange in this race about the hitchhiking, that you can't hitchhike forward. He mentioned something that you can't hitchhike forward, you can only hitchhike backwards. And he said like, yeah, and he asked me if I have his number to inform him about that, and I said that I haven't. I haven't saved it, or never found it, so that he would inform him about this.
so what did you think about? Yeah, how did you take that?
I thought that, okay, I mean, you just do that what you do, like you'll find out. But I mean, I had already hitchhiked to Leadville, so that wouldn't have changed my, like if I would have walked back to the bike, that wouldn't have changed a thing. So I kind of, okay, and I thought like, this can't be true. I mean, what the fuck, what's about hitchhiking forward but not back, or like backwards but not forwards? So I thought like, that must be strange. That sounded strange to me.
Yeah. So did you just kind of put it out of your mind and keep your head
Yeah,
down and just
I forgot it. Like I was
okay.
too busy figuring out like how I'm gonna get back there, and by that time I thought like the front of the race is forgotten. Like, dude, never. I mean, I thought that I'll never get back up there, and this will never make any sense. Like, I just wanted to see the rest of the trail, because that would be a pity to pull out just like in half, not even halfway, like a couple of 100 miles in. That wouldn't have changed my outcome, like what, like how I did it anyway. Like I wanted to finish the race, and I'm pretty proud that I have done it, like with all the circumstances, and that I didn't give up, because I could have reached that will and just like, okay, not my race, not my day. And then, because from Leadville back to Denver, that would be an easy ride back home. Now from Durango back to Denver, that was a bit more challenging.
Did you ever think about just stopping it there? Was that ever a thought in your mind?
It was when, so first, like I smashed the rim, the wheel, and I put the tube in, and I saw that it's not going well. Or like when I was, because that was a low key, like low moment in my race in general, like that morning, because as I said, like the first day was way too hard, way harder than I expected, or like we opened a bit too hard, and altitude and everything did that I kind of couldn't eat and drink properly, or I wasn't feeling like that, and the price, the paycheck came for that, and it was bigger than I had, so I had to sleep quite a few times that night just to kind of try to recover and regenerate the power back in my legs. And to be fair, like to be honest, like the first day I was almost praying for the mechanical, so that it would stop and I wouldn't need to say that, oh, I just wasn't feeling good and stuff. I mean, it's way easier to blame it on the mechanical than your kind of physical ability. So, but that morning, I mean, after I've slept, I finally started to feel hungry, could eat, could drink, and felt like riding, and was about to start pushing again. And I was really looking to Leadville just to resupply and just leave the first day behind me and concentrate on what's to come, because there was still some trail left ahead of us. Like there was still 3 full 3 days.
Yeah. How far is Leadville into the race, actually?
It's 100. No, Copper is 160 miles, so Leadville must be like and 200, around 200.
Okay. How long did you spend? Do you have any idea, like from the time you started hiking back, you ditched your bike in the bush, you start hiking back to the time you got back to your bike? Do you know how much time you spent?
I haven't checked it.
How much time
like
did you spend
exactly.
breaking the rules?
Like 4 or 5 hours probably.
Okay.
I think I like because the bike shop opened at 10. I got there a bit past 10, and I started riding at 2. I think, if I remember correctly, yeah, something like that.
What position were you in when, like, first, second? Do you know?
No, I didn't care.
You don't check track leaders when you're out there, right?
No, very rarely. I mean, that's the partly the reason why I wasn't being tracked the first part of, because the only time when I got down to Breckenridge, that's where I kind of sat down and there was a reception and I could load the track leaders. I mean, we are in a wild mountain, so there's not always a good signal, so you can't kind of do that. And there I saw that I'm not on a map, and I checked my tracker. So in the morning I turned it on, but on those spot trackers you have to not just turn it on, but then you have to push that feet,
the boot
symbol, the boot, and that you would restart so that it would start tracking you. So I turned it on and I didn't push the boot, and then it kind of got into standby a few hours later. So that's the reason. That's part of the reason why I've been tracking.
Yeah. Well, plus, yeah, I mean, you're up in the mountains where you probably don't have any cell phone service most of the time anyway. So it's, it's hard to check track leaders. Well, any final thoughts on the situation with breaking the rules? Do you want to tie any kind of bow on that conversation before we completely move away from it?
Nah, it's like I told you, like I'm fine with it. Like I would just love to have it clear for the future at least. And yeah, I would love to hear the official results and what's what now. Like I mean, that wouldn't change my outcome. I would still go and do Arizona anyway. I would now I'm hooked on this, and I'm gonna do it not just for myself, but yeah, for everyone who supported me in those messages and telling that we know what you did and everything's fine. So I would do that for them and yeah, for everyone else, just to put a good race and see how's Arizona looking like, because that looks hot.
Did you say hot or hard or both?
I think both, yeah.
Yeah, I think both. Yeah, I mean, any way you slice it, I mean, it is a unfortunate kind of cloud that's going to loom over your race results. But what you did do was freaking unreal. I mean, I was following on Instagram, and for people who follow you, they'll know that you are not one to post a lot during the race. After the race, you post a lot and give us the full story. But during the race, you're racing, and so you don't post a lot or share a lot to your stories, but you did post about the wheel. And my heart sunk for you. I was like, oh, fuck. And I didn't know, I didn't know how close you were to Leadville and being able to get it repaired or whatever. But I was like bummed out because you were racing so well. But then to go off course, spend 4 or 5 hours getting a wheel replaced and come back and Pac-Man everybody all the way to the finish, and then still finish by over 12 hours is an insane effort that nobody can take away from you. They can maybe the official time is taken away, but what you accomplish can't be taken away. There's no way,
Thank you for that, man. It means a lot. I really appreciate what you're saying, because yeah, I really pushed. I mean, and those stories being uploaded just because I had time in the shop. I was on my wheel, so I didn't have anything else to do. So I thought I'll let people know at least what I'm dealing with.
Oh, that's funny. When you were, yeah. So those stories that I saw were after it
Yeah,
happened, you were just hanging out in Leadville waiting for your wheel,
yeah,
and yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
With a full network coverage, and I could do whatever I wanted.
So how did that setback change your goals or your mindset for the race going forward?
As I mentioned, like I didn't expect to catch the front because by that time they were far ahead, like many miles ahead. I knew from my research that between Leadville and Bonavista is a bit easier riding. I mean, that's not very complicated. A lot of roads and not so much single track. So I knew that that part will be covered pretty fast, but I also knew that after Buena Vista, that's gonna be a long stretch without nothing, with just lots of mountains and lots of slow crawling. And I really thought that yeah, the guys are gone, and now I'll just have to. But as I told you, like the trail is magical. Like I loved it so far, so I just wanted to get a full picture of it and see what's out there, and that Pac-Man mode, yeah, I love how Safyan enables it during his races.
Yeah.
So I just got carried away with that.
Yeah, I saw you post. You were just actually, I think you were in the airport and you're bored, and so you're posting all your stories, and I watched them all. And you said time to go into Pac-Man mode. This is going to be fun, and I love your personality and your perspective about ultra racing. Like anyone who follows you, I mean, even now you're smiling, you're laughing. Things didn't go the way you had hoped for, but and I mean, even when your wheel broke, you always have a smile on your face. You're always just kind of taking it as it comes and enjoying the process, it seems like.
It doesn't help to cry, you know.
It doesn't. I've been doing it wrong.
At least not for me. Nah, man. I try, like, I think this is part of why I'm not bad in these races, is because I try to take things with a smile, at least, or like try to see some positivity and in all sorts of shit. Like shit happens, but life goes on. The same here. Like yeah, shit happened,
Yeah.
but just try to make the best out of it of what I had, and I'm like I can't repeat this enough. But those mountains, they are gorgeous. They are incredible.
Yeah. I love to see it. Yeah, I really appreciate the way your approach to bike pack racing, and probably it extends to your life too. I think I can at least get caught up in the minutia and the shit that goes wrong and let it get me down. And it's something I struggle with, is maintaining that positive mental attitude. And I think it's easy to say, but especially when you're sleep deprived, you're having mechanicals, and you're doing something very, very, very physically, mentally challenging. It's easy to say, but hard to do. And you do it quite well. And I think that should be commended.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of
I
course.
can't. Yeah, it's nice when it's noticed. It's yeah. I never thought about it as like something different, but yeah, when people
It's just,
notice, it's very cool.
yeah, it's just who you are. So when did you decide that you were going to take on the Triple Crown? Because we spoke after Tour Divide, and you didn't mention it to me in that conversation. So I don't know if that was a secret you were keeping, or if you went home.
Yeah.
Because you went from, for people who don't know, you went straight from Tour Divide. You flew back to Norway, and you were immediately in race director mode, putting on your own race, the Bright Midnight, just days after Tour Divide. Yeah, he's got the hat on for
Yeah,
anyone who's not
yeah,
watching.
yeah.
Yeah. So you were busy.
I was very busy, and maybe I can blame that why I haven't read all the rules, because then I got I kind of, because the sign up for the race was also just like a month before, right? So I think on 12th or 11th of July, the sign up opened. And my race, or like Bright Midnight, started on 14th of July. So that was kind of when all the riders were arriving and everything. So I just kind of rushed through. But the decision to do it came, I think after we spoke, like days after. I just checked what's possible with the bike, because I kind of knew that Super Caliber is not good enough, or like you need a trail bike there. And luckily Trek launched the new Top Fuel, the 4th generation, and that looked like a bike for the deal, like for the trail. And got my hands on it, and it arrived like mid through Bright Midnight. So so I haven't trained before everyone left, and I maybe had like 1.5 week. Yeah, 1.5 weeks of kind of empty house and preparation before I left for Colorado. So it's very spontaneously, but the base was done during Tour de White, so I knew in what formal shape I am, and that today also Lorenz put like a story that he was like, I can't fucking believe this. I mean, I haven't recovered after Tour de White, and this guy already did another race and fucking won it, or finished it. So
hey, you can win in your mind. I think I heard quite a few people said that you're the people's champ, and you're my champ too. And I don't want to, and I'm sure you don't want to take anything away from Xavier. It sounds like he has an amazing story, a very strong rider, did an amazing job. So this is not, in my mind, this isn't you against Hefe or you against Xavier. Just giving you an opportunity to share your experience,
Yeah, people don't misunderstand me. I really loved. We were cheering each other with Javier every time. Like when he was passing, like, "Come on, amigo, hermano, vamos." It was always good to meet him on the trail, and he's a very funny guy as well. Like, he's a good guy. I love riding with him.
Did you and Javier have a conversation after the race about who won?
No, man. I mean, I by that time I knew that my time is not. I mean, and by the reception, by how I was welcomed, and by how Javier was welcomed, so you could clearly see that he's the official winner. I don't know how bikepacking.com decided that, but like I'll not go into those details. Like, and yeah, so we briefly, I just congratulated him, and that's it, and that was it. He was taking pictures there as the winner, and we didn't even need to discuss this because that was kind of clear.
Yeah. Well, that's very sportsmanlike of you, and I'm not surprised to hear that. But at the same time, that couldn't have been easy, to be in that situation.
I've been in a worse situation, so this is not the worst.
Again,
not the worst.
Again, you and your endless optimism, I love it. I thought I was an optimistic person, and then I met you and realized I've got some competition in the optimism department. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something?
No. We're not gonna compete in this. I mean, it helps. It helps in everyday life.
Yeah, for sure. Look on the bright side. I read a quote. This is kind of related and kind of silly, but I read a quote on Instagram, which means it's probably not accurate at all, but it made me feel good. I liked it. It said that 85% of the things that you worry about never happen.
That's very true.
Just be positive, and worry about things when they actually happen, But
exactly. Why waste time worrying about something that hasn't happened yet? Like, deal with it when it happens. Like, if I would have worried about my wheel choice or tire choice before the race, I wouldn't have got out of the start. Probably I would have yeah, I've been changing things, but now I knew that I arrived with the bike that I arrived, and I have the tires and build that I have, and do the best.
Yeah.
Get out there,
Well,
have fun.
get out there. That's crazy. I can't believe you only had a week and a half. A week and a half from when to when? From the end of Bright Midnight
Yeah.
to when you left?
Yeah, because I had a quite a full house of people. So there was like media people, media guys staying with me. My sister came and helped a lot during Bright Midnight, and they all left. Yeah, that was Thursday, and like Tuesday week after I left to Colorado. So like I had like from Thursday to Monday, then the whole week, and then Tuesday I left. So yeah, 14 days, something like that.
That's insane. How much before the start of the Colorado Trail race did you arrive in Colorado to acclimatize and everything?
Yeah, like I ride on Wednesday afternoon, and so I built up my bike. I got very warm welcome of Hunt because they have their headquarters here in US in Boulder, and I got my Trail Angel assigned the Trail Angel. Jason, he did an amazing job by hosting me, and I got the chance like because he has lived in Leadville before, and he was like, "Oh, if we want to get the taste of a trail, so we can start riding from Copper and ride towards Leadville, and then we can have my friend can pick us up and drive back us to the car, or we can spend the night in Leadville in the altitude if you want." And I can't say no to things like this, and I was like, "Let's do this." And then we started riding, and I kind of had not the full setup on my back, but pretty much, and I couldn't hold back. It was so fun. It was those trails. They was just like I could have ridden the whole course that day. I mean, I was into this, and then instead of going back down from altitude, we stayed in the altitude. That probably didn't help either with the acclimatization, or like because the recovery is not that quick when you are up there. And the Leadville 100 was happening that weekend when we were there.
Yeah.
So the racers started to come to town, but they would train, ride, and recon the track, but they all would go down to sleep somewhere low. And I'm like a proper ultra, like I'll be hard on myself, and I'll stayed up there, had fun, like. But then Friday we got back down to Boulder, and Saturday was spent preparing or like putting the last dots on ice, and early start. That is an early start, and since I haven't
4 a.m.
Yeah, that was it. Like, okay, so 4 a.m. and we have like an hour to drive from Boulder to the trailhead. Okay, so when do we need to leave? About like what, like 1:30, like a.m. Okay, so I need to go to bed quite early. That was a bit of a.
When did you go to bed? How much sleep did you get the night before leading out?
I'm a last minute person. I'm becoming a really problem to myself. Like I finished packing my bike at about 10 in the evening, then got a quick shower, and maybe 10:30 I was in the bed. And the good thing is that I don't stress too much before these races any longer.
That is good, yeah.
So I kind of fell asleep really quick, and I got up at about 1, got the breakfast, got the coffee on the go, and in a car, and bike was kind of packed ready, and off we go.
Yeah. Well, in your defense, again, you were very busy leading up to this. So all the last minuteness of everything, I don't know if it extends to other parts of your life, but at least in this one instance, I think you have a little bit of an excuse to, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to do. You had to get a whole different bike and probably use some of the same gear and some of the same kit, but whole nother bike and book plane tickets, find somewhere to stay. I mean, recon a new CTR, a new route, like everything. I mean, that's a lot to do in a week and a half. I mean, it's a crazy.
Lots of homework. But the funny part is that, because I talked to the guys who raced Bright Midnight, and everybody was like, "So when are you flying?" And I was like, "I don't have tickets yet. Like, nothing." And they would help me to find. They did the like Skyscanner stuff, and they found all the possibilities, like when's the cheapest to fly, and all the shit. So I can't thank enough. I had amazing people around me. So. But yeah, and Tailfin, like they turned their thumbs around and they sent the bag. The bag wouldn't arrive to Norway in time, so they sent the bag straight away to Boulder. So I got it there. So I kind of didn't knew my last, like the final setup of the bike. That's why my bike didn't never made to rigs of Colorado Trail, because until the very last day, I was still like playing around with the bag setup. Like I wasn't sure if I'm gonna use just two bags, like the top two bag and the frame bag and the hydration vest, or should I keep the rack as well? And at the end, I chose like more spacious setup so that I would have plenty of space for the food, as I knew that resupply in Buena Vista is gonna be big.
Yeah, to hold you to the end.
To Silverton at least. And I kind of knew that I should reach Silverton in the opening hours. Within the opening hours, there were quite a few riders that had to sleep in Silverton because they arrived just like after things got closed. So that was a bit unfortunate for them. They need to wait long. I mean, they slept, so that's not that bad. You don't waste time waiting. But yeah, so I chose way more spacious setup just so I would have enough space. Wouldn't need to play around with like dragging out some stuff, leaving some stuff, and so I could put everything in comfortably, not playing Tetris on the side of the trail.
Yeah. Packing and repacking, trying to figure out how it all goes together. Just shove it in and go.
Exactly. It's way easier. You save time and stress.
In general, what type of race route appeals to you? So Colorado Trail is high elevation, mountainous, technical, hard. Tour Divide has some sections that are roads, some double track. In general, like what is your preferred type of terrain to cover in one of these races?
I think that's why my Instagram is just on bikes, because I do ride fat bike, I ride road bikes, gravel bikes, mountain bikes, trail bikes.
You just like to ride your bike.
I just like to ride my bike, and I lean towards off-road now more and more because of a traffic. And again, like I was leaving Silverton in the afternoon, and man, we had to or like the way out of Silverton, you started on the highway on the main road, and just later you reach the camping spot, and then you kind of turn off into the trail. I was looking for that trail a lot because the trucks and the cars and the buses, even I don't know what's wrong with the America. I'm not gonna generalize, but
it's okay. As an American, I'll let you.
but it looks like the left lane is lava. Nobody wants to kind of cross the fucking line. Like the next lane is totally empty, but they still just ride past you in millimeters, and there's no shoulder in that road. I mean, I was on the line, and I was kind of trying to do what I learned to do here in Norway when the riders are passing you like without attention, like paying attention. So kind of the more space you give them, the more they try to pass you. So I was kind of moving towards the middle of the lane, but then it got even worse. I mean, I got honked, I got like shouted at, yeah, all sorts of stuff. So I was like, okay, guys, then I'll stay on the fucking lane and hold my handlebars because the cars were coming close.
Yeah, I mean, it is super unfortunate. I mean, I live in America, and I don't know what other cultures are like, but in America, cyclists are like low on the food chain, man, and
Yeah.
motorists don't have any patience. I think your strategy of like riding slightly more on the road is a good one generally because you're going to force them to see you and then to maneuver around you. Because if you're over all the way on the right hand side, they can just buzz past you and leave you hardly any space. But yeah, the American ego and the American motorist ego just doesn't take kindly to cyclists at all. And there's no winning. You know, there's no one right answer.
No. My grandfather used to say, like, you can be the right one, but you'll be in pain.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing about being a cyclist is like you're always going to lose that battle. And so
exactly.
It's a
And
tough.
look at the cars you're driving. Man, those pickups, woo, baby, they are huge.
Yeah, not me, but yeah.
Yeah,
But they're out there. Yeah.
But there are some huge cars out there in the roads.
How long is that section from out of Silverton to the trail? Because you mentioned this on your Instagram too, that it was pretty rough, that section, just with the cars.
I don't know, maybe 6-7 miles only.
Uphill.
But it's uphill, you know, that makes the difference. Like because you are moving in a relatively slow speed and the cars then passing in a way higher, and because the road is also, I mean, to driver's defense, the road is not very straight, so you kind of can't see what's behind the corner, and nobody wants to slow down, so they kind of try to squeeze by as soon as they can and without leaving their own line. So I think that's the worst.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wish,
but it's part of the game, you know.
It is. I mean, I don't think we're changing car culture in America anytime soon, unfortunately. So it's up to racers and riders just to do the best that they can and freaking just cross your fingers. I hate it. The more I do it, the less tolerance I have for being around traffic. And I mean, we saw Jay Peterberry get hit on the Tour Divide, and he's a very experienced, careful, cautious, aware rider. And, you know, it really brings, that issue kind of to the forefront, and the reality that, you know, we're at the bottom of the pecking order whenever we're out there on those roads, and especially in America, it's not okay, but it is the situation. And I do like to mention it because I think it's worth not glossing over as like kind of a community service. Like, people of the community that go and do this stuff need to do so with the full knowledge of the danger of what they're doing.
But you know, like what I find funny in all this is like most of the cyclists are drivers too, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, the guy who passed me that close doesn't he have any friends who cycle? Doesn't he have maybe his wife cycles or her husband cycles? And what would they do if that would be their like close people on the road? So yeah. I think this is good to talk about it, and very worth mentioning, because we can try to bring that other perspective in our friends' thoughts, like. Do you like me? Yeah, if you like me, you know, like I like to ride the bikes. And next time you see the bikes on the road, think about me. Like it can be me that you are pushing off the road.
I could not agree more. I mean, you're echoing my thoughts exactly. I think one of the issues and one of the hurdles that we have in America, and as it relates to this conversation, is that we are not a cycling community at large. Other parts of the world, cycling is well more accepted. It's a form of transportation. There's infrastructure. I don't know what percentage of the U.S. population would classify themselves as cyclists, but just anecdotally, it feels like a very small percentage. And so like, I think that that's one of those disconnects where like the guy or girl in the car that buzzes you, there's a pretty good chance that they don't have anyone in their lives that identifies as a cyclist. But my hope as a podcaster and trying to spread the, go ride your damn bike mantra is that, we grow this sport. And I think you are absolutely right that as we grow it and as we're members of this community, we have a responsibility, hopefully, to like talk to our friends and family and say, hey, I've done it with my family. I've said that, like I'm very vocal about like when you see a cyclist, that could be me. They could have kids. They have a father. They have a mother. They have brothers and sisters, whatever it is. Exactly. And I don't know why that doesn't click immediately. Like, I don't know what it is about motorists versus cyclists in America where they can't just see another human being and say that's a human being that has hopes, dreams, families, everything else, and just respect them for that alone, for no other reason than that. You're another human. But unfortunately, that's not the situation. And so I think it does require more conversation. And I think cyclists in America, I think that's a great tip and a thing that we should be doing is being vocal within our community about, hey, I'm a cyclist, I'm a dad, I'm a son, whatever,
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And you have more power than you think.
Me?
Yeah, of course, man. You have audience. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, but I'm talking to other cyclists. But again, that's why the message of like, as cyclists, we need to be vocal within our communities and within our family and friend groups. And I think that's something we can do to help change the narrative, at least in a small way,
Absolutely. And I wish that I wish for the changes that they will come, will come.
I hope so. I'm an optimist too, and I think one day we'll get there.
Yeah. Man,
so, CTR, you broke the rules again. You didn't turn on your GPS device. You just started off on the wrong foot, man. You were just hell bent on breaking the rules this year, but I'm just giving you shit, dude. I'm just giving you shit. But because of that, like I can't watch. I think like your spot showed up around a mile 140 on the map, Breckenridge. So like, what happened in the first 140 miles? You said you dug deep. So like, how'd it go? What happened?
So like as my light setup, I chose to have it like battery driven and no dynamo. And since I knew that there is 3 towns that you pass, like there's Leadville, Buena Vista, and Silverton. And because Leadville and Buena Vista are so close to each other, so it's not going to be both, it's going to be one or the other. So basically you have 2 stops. And I also know myself that my stop's probably not going to be that long. And to bring the charger with myself would be kind of worthless because that one's a bit bulky to charge because those light batteries are a bit bigger. So I just took with me kind of enough to have throughout the race without needing to think about charging them. And because they're heavy, so I didn't want to put them in the pocket, so I put them in my rear rack. And because they are heavy, when we start the first descent, they bounce within the rack, and eventually they made their way out of the bag.
No way.
Yeah, shit. So, and I heard that. And
so on Tour Divide, you lost your passport. On Colorado Trail, you lost your batteries.
Amateur. Amateur, I know, but
You're just going too fast. Stuff is just flying off, man.
I need to learn how to pack things, for once. But and I heard that something dropped, and I started checking my pockets, but pockets were okay. So then I thought like, there is something in my rack. So I stopped and glanced back, and yeah, there's an opening in my rear rack. So I put the bike aside, and then I hiked up the trail, and there was riders passing by, so I kind of was losing places, and that also kind of stresses you a bit. And got the batteries, got back to the bike, start riding again. Bam! Because I rushed to pack them, and I didn't think through what I'm doing, and then bam! Again, they jumped out again, and I had to do it again, and I lost again a couple of more spots, and to pass people on those trails is not that simple as well. So I was kind of catching and asking people nicely, can I go on your left? Can I go on your left? Can I go on your right? Thank you very much. But I would got lots of encouragement, like because people were like, "What the fuck you come from? Like, did you took a wrong turn there? Or what happened?" And yeah, so it was fun. Like, but I burned a couple of matches too much. I got too carried away, with this. And why I did that, I don't know. It's just like the instincts kick in, and I try to get back to the head of the race as soon as you can, even though you know that there's fucking hundreds of miles left. Easy, boy, easy. You'll get there. Take it easy.
Patience.
Yeah, it disappears.
I mean, patience doesn't help you go fast, I don't think. I mean, maybe it does if it keeps things from flying off your bike, saves you time.
But this is I think the biggest takeoff from this race is like patience. You have to be patient, man. With Colorado Trail, oh my God, you don't need to watch the kilometers. You don't need to stress about average speed, because just give the time it takes. And that's actually where my kind of breaking point in the race was, when I realized that, okay, this is not a bike race. This is a hiking race where I have a bike with me. That's it. Hikers carry their backpacks on their backs, and I carry my bags on my bike. That's it. That's the difference between us. And I can use gravity to go down, but I'll need to push that bike up the hill anyway. So that's kind of where the biggest break happened. And then I started to enjoy it more and more. And actually, I saw most of the trail and most of the mountains and could enjoy the views while I was pushing the bike. Because the trail is technical enough, so you can't take your eyes off and just look around. So you really need to stop and look around if you want to.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know about your batteries. So you had your batteries fly out a couple, 2 or 3 different times. You had a broken rim. I saw on Instagram you overslept by 2 hours once on accident. What happened there?
I just I was that was in between Buena Vista and Silverton, and there is this cathedral cabin. Have you heard about that?
I've only heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently it's like Brush Mountain Lodge. It's like fucking amazing. And I got to that junction. It's a bit off route. So I got down there and I was like, should I or shouldn't I? And I checked how much food and stuff I had with me, and I had still plenty. So I was like, okay, I can probably do the stretch all the way to Silverton. So I didn't turn there, and it was already maybe 9:30 in the evening. And I watched like what's happening in front, and I saw some pit toilets, or like the camp, like the spot. And I was really looking forward to get there and use those and sleep in them, because that's a thing you learn during Tour Divide, and they're a very good shelter. And I got there, and they were under construction. They turned them down, and they were building new ones. So I got, but luckily, because there was a campsite, so there were benches, there were trees, high trees, and under one of those trees there was a dry spot, very nice, cozy, like there was a big pine tree, so there was lots of soft kind of, and I just laid down. And I was there like 22:30, and I set my alarm for like 1 hour because I was in a chasing mode. I was in a Pac-Man mode, and I was looking forward to catch the guys. And yeah, woke up after an hour, the alarm went, and I turned it off, and I was like daydreaming of how now I'm gonna push. And and I wake up like 2 hours later.
You were racing in your mind, and you thought you had already left.
I left. I packed, and so again, this is like this stupid shit happening where kind of, but this time my body didn't. My mind was awake, but my body wasn't awake, and that's the difference with that hallucination that I had in Tour de Wine. So so I just overslept, and but the other thing that is really also worth mentioning is that Sergeant's Mesa, man, that was a scary thing, because that's where the storm started, the hailstorm, and the lightning. And I heard about the lightnings and storms in Colorado Trail, but I never thought that they can be that cruel or big and scary. Because I was walking. Luckily, I wasn't in a very open area. There was like trees around me, but the lightning struck just like in a tree that was like 30 meters away. I mean, I got electrified. My Garmin was fully charged and my phone charged. No.
That's how you were able to win. After that, you just had energizers or bunny energy.
I had energy to go fast during those baby head rocks. This is another name that I love to hear. Yeah. Baby heads. What the fuck? You're riding over baby heads.
I don't know. That's what we've always called them. I didn't know other people didn't call them that.
I mean, they can, size of apples. They can be apple stones, no?
No, baby heads.
Baby head sounds better. Yeah, I understand. No, but so the lightning there struck, and then the hailstorm started soon after, and I kind of knew that the hailstorms are usually a bit of a local happening. So I mean, you can have it on one side of the mountain, but on the other side it can be sunny and nice. So I just tried to push through and get to the other side, and I was a bit reckless. I can use that word on the downhills, and I crashed a bit heavy. And I know now that I have a broken rib, and but it's like you can't do anything about that. So I just had to. And first days, it's not so painful. So I just, finished with it. And it's just getting more and more painful now.
You said that way too understated. For anyone who didn't catch that, he has a broken rib. You were just going to let that slide, but I'm not going to let it slide. When did this wreck happen? What mileage?
And I don't know which mile was it, but like it was, like not so far after Marshall Pass, like you kind of start riding in those Sergeant's Mesa, and
So how much of the race like how many days or hours? I don't know where Sergeant's Mesa.
2 days, like 2 full days after.
Wow. So now you and Uba both finished a race with a broken rib. Y'all have something else in common now.
Yeah, we love it. No, but it was like, as I said, like in the first days or the first hours, it's like Uba's case was way more terrifying because he punctured the lung as well. I just broke a rib, so and I I know from experience, not the first time, so you can't you're not gonna put a plaster or anything on it. So it's just like you have to kind of get through it, and it's gonna grow, and it's just like inconvenient. So I couldn't sleep on one side because that was a bit more uncomfortable, but the rest was okay.
Oh my gosh! So did you have any thoughts that maybe you broke a rib while you were racing, or do you think you were just thinking it was bruised? You just took a bad hit.
I knew because while I was getting up, because that was a pretty bad hit. Like I hit some stones pretty bad, and I was like a bit out of breath. Like when you hit it, and
yeah.
And then I was repeating to myself, "It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Take it fucking easy." And
and did you?
I tried to. I haven't crashed after. I haven't crashed after that. No.
How many times did you crash? So did you you crashed when you broke your rib? You crashed when you broke your wheel.
And I crashed when I broke my bibs. Have you seen the hole in my ass?
Yeah, you got
that was
you got
nice
a suntan on your ass.
Fuck, man, but that's the most painful thing after Colorado Trail. Because that part of my body rarely sees the sun, and now it got burned.
Oh, you don't moonlight as a nudist, so it's not used to the sun.
Not in Norway, at least. Like that's not a country to be a nudist.
Yeah, neither is America.
Oh man, in New Mexico, I wouldn't wear anything. Like in New Mexico, Arizona, probably I would be riding naked. Like I should get some sun on my skin in the places where they don't see so much sun.
Now you know. This is one more race prep you can do for future races. So if you crash, you won't be so exposed on your bum. Man,
yeah,
this is
no, I crashed a bit too much.
I mean, it's a gnarly trail and you're pushing it. And it's a hiking trail.
At night, it is really like, because you come into sections where like the couple of crashes I was like bailing out, like, when you jump off the bike and you leave the bike to kind of find its own way. Yeah. So I'm surprised. Like I really amazed by both tail fin rack, because the fork got hit by quite a few times. I'm afraid I haven't washed my bike yet, so I'm even like it's gonna be painful to wash and see what's behind the dirt, because there's gonna be probably some marks and scratches. The SRAM, the new SRAM, because I don't know how I would have 2 or 3 or 4 derailleur hangers with me, because that like so many rocks that you get, like you hit with a rear derailleur, because you just need to squeeze the tires in between the rocks, and you just hear bam, bam, time after time, and it's like, oh shit. But that thing is just really incredible piece of engineering now, and sits so firmly there, and it just gets like, it recalibrates kind of itself, so you kind of need to spin a couple of times and then back to the smooth shifting again. So that's a game changer for me as well with my type of riding. I probably wouldn't have survived with the old type of the mech.
They should just give you bikes to trail test them, or before they go to market.
I could kill them.
Stress test. Like, that's a torture test. That's the term I'm thinking of. Yeah.
That would be my dream job almost.
You can win races and torture test bikes. I don't know. They might call you. So, the other mishap that I wanted to talk about was the one I mentioned that I thought, I know it wasn't funny in the time, but yeah, you went the wrong way. So what happened there?
Last night, right? And I see that I'm not, like, if I would have pushed through, wouldn't have overslept and stuff. So I probably would have gotten under 4 days. But when I realized that, and I knew that it wouldn't change a shit, because we had like 5 detours and the FKT is kind of not eligible. And at that time, I didn't know what's going to happen, like when I'll finish with all these FAQs. But so I decided to get a sunrise up in the mountains, because those things there are out of this world, man. When you ride the trail above the tree line and you just see the sun coming, what a feeling. And it's like completely silent, no wind, nothing. You just heard some birds and the sun's coming. And when the first like sun glory hits you, dude, this is why we ride bikes up there. I mean, this is, oh, I couldn't miss that. So I thought like, okay, I'll sleep an hour or two and, I'll get riding before the sunrise. I was about like to hit the very top, the last ridge before you kind of start descending towards the Durango. And yeah, I climbed up the trail, and I was like, yeah, now it's kind of, I'm gonna look for a spot, and I found a nice spot, and there were some trees, but the trees were on the other side of the trail, and I flipped the bike around because I didn't want to put that with the drive side towards the trees. Nobody does that, right? Nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
Nobody does that. And I flipped the bike around, put the bike, got my sleeping kit, slept, woke up, got packed everything, got on the bike, and the direction the bike was parked. I mean, what the? And that was all the climb, right? And I was descending, and during that night, I already had many of those like deja vus, like I've been there, like shit, I've seen this before, I've been there. And then like so many fallen trees, like and not, I don't know how long I've been riding. Like I descended almost the full climb, and then kind of the pointer on Garmin came up, that I have to turn right there, because that motherfucker also didn't warn me that I'm riding in the wrong direction. It just kind of started to navigate me the direction I was going.
Did it do the thing where it automatically reroutes you?
It just kind of follows the same route, like, because I'm riding backwards. So he started to navigate me. I probably would have ridden all the way back to Buena Vista if I would. But then this warning about the turn came up, and I see that I've been there. Like I see my marks, because when you ride past the marks, you leave the mark on the tracker. And I just stopped and I zoomed out, and I was like, fuck. Then I got awake. Then I mean, because the files were too big, so it kind of didn't sync with my Garmin yet. But when I'll come back home and I'm gonna upload the trail files, I probably got a KOM on that climb. I'm pretty sure I did it fastest, because that was panic climbing. That was a proper warm up. When I got up on the top, I was like, "Fucking hell!" But later on, I could.
Go ahead.
No. Later on, I could laugh about that. That was okay.
Oh yeah. How far did you ride in the wrong direction, and what? Oh, you might not know this, but do you know what place you were at in the race when this happened?
I was leaving. So that was last night.
Oh, it was the last night.
Yeah. I finished in the morning. Like I finished at noon, so probably could have cut another hour and a half from the time that I had.
So how far back did you backtrack?
It was all downhill. That's the worst.
Oh my God. At least you didn't backtrack all the way back to Xavier.
Yeah.
That would have been your sign.
That would be like, you are going wrong direction. No, you are going wrong direction. No, you are going wrong direction.
Y'all would have been so confused.
But and the story in my head that was going around, that was when Lel did the same in Ram, wasn't that? Where the guy also who was leading was riding in the wrong direction, and she met him, and then they rode together, and he kind of offered her to split them first, but she said like, no way, I'm gonna smoke,
Yeah. That was like 2016 or something. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But I just remember that story that has happened when the rider wakes up and rides the wrong direction and meets another rider.
Yeah, that's so true. I completely forgot about that, but you're absolutely right. We talked about it on this podcast actually. So yeah, I remember that. Man, that's crazy. Okay, so that's all the things that went wrong, or did anything else go wrong? I wanted to talk about some of the things that went right because I mean, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. All of the things, honestly, all the things, all the hurdles, all the things that happened, some of them are your fault, some of them weren't, some of them blah, blah, blah. But no matter when way you slice it, you overcame a broken rib, lights flying out of your stuff, broken wheel, weather, going the wrong direction, and you still finish first by 12 hours. I mean, it's just insane. Insane, man.
Just to put another
Yeah, what
icing,
else went wrong?
front wheel is also broken.
No way.
Yeah, I was nursing it since Buena Vista as well, but I wouldn't brake hard on the descents. I would just let it roll, you know. But it's because of its front wheel, so it's less tension on it, and you kind of don't apply same forces as you would with the drive, you know. So it survived, but it's broken.
Wow. It broke like cracked or what?
No, this is why I chose the wrong wheels. I mean, it's nothing to do with the hunt wheels, and don't fucking try to blame them for this. But it's just like I chose XC wheels to ride on the gnarliest trail, not the gnarliest trail, but really demanding trail. So I should have actually taken aluminium ones and just had them, because wow, it's like the trail is just really rough. So I think, but because the reason why the front wheel survived, it's because I think because the tire didn't blew once. Like I didn't lost any pressure in the tire. So I think that the impact came from the stone rounding. You know, they fly around and they hit the rim from the top.
Yeah.
So they kind of the crack is mostly aesthetical, or like the aero case, like the aero profile on the top of the rim. So it didn't damage so much of the structural rims. So that's why it's slightly out of trim, but the tension in the spoke was still there. And because it's the front wheel, so I could follow it closely, like what's happening with the wheel. Is it wobbling more and more, or is it just still the same? So yeah, but that's also part of another shit.
Amazing, dude. Amazing. What went right? What were some of the highlights, your favorite parts from the trail?
The trail itself. That's what
the
pushed
whole
me
thing.
over. I mean, yeah, okay, I had low moments, like Sergeant's Mesa definitely was one of my highlights, but the rest, dude. I mean, I couldn't believe that how this can exist. Miles and miles and miles of the trail, like, and some of it is such a like dream trail. You flow, you just like into the corners, like flowing between the trees, ramp up and down, small jumps, crests. Fucking amazing. It's like I was living a dream there.
Yeah. You'll have to tell me how closely it compares to the AZT in terms of like the technical and gnarly riding, because as you describe it, it sounds pretty similar. Like there's a ton of hike a bike. You said, it's like I'm just hiking with my bike. It's no different than a backpacker. I got all my stuff on my bike, and then the descents were just crazy. And I kept thinking, like, when I'm riding it, like, I can't believe they let us do this. Like, it is so wild and so extreme. And I was just sending the downhills with reckless abandon. And lucky that I didn't break my bike. Well, I borrowed a bike. That was the thing I was scared of, is I borrowed like a $10,000 bike from a guy to go race it or ride it.
God.
And I was so scared I was going to break his bike. But after pushing up hills, just pushing, I would just let it rip on the downhills and just hold on for dear life.
Yeah, but it's very similar. But what I heard from people who've done both, they said that the AZT trail is younger trail, so it's kind of more rougher in sections. In Colorado trail, you get like really smooth, like silk smooth trail, which you just send it.
Yeah. It sounds beautiful. It looks beautiful from the pictures and everything. I'd love to. I think this thing that scares me about the Colorado Trail is the elevation more than anything. 13,000 feet. I mean, that's the highest point, over 13,000 feet, you know?
Yeah, and the average is above 10,000.
So how did you manage the elevation? Because you don't live you live pretty close to sea level, don't you?
Yeah, like maybe 1,000, bit above 1,000 feet. So it's nothing. But I mean, I think Tour Divide kind of did a good preparation for it. We were above in certain amounts of time. Yeah, and I train. so, if I lose a bit of a like capacity, you know, a bit of a power, so I don't lose all of it. So it's still some left, and what was left was enough. Clearly.
All right, I'm going to ask it again. What was your highlight moment from the Colorado Trail? We spent a lot of time talking about all of the things that went badly, but what are some of your like favorite memories or experiences from this year's Colorado Trail?
Oh man, the sunrises, and especially the sunrise when I was reaching the highest point. There's lots of hike a bike, but then you ride on some amazing the mountain range in the latter part of the trail. That mountain range is so beautiful. Like, and then like you see the valleys that are filled with clouds, and you are above everything. That must be that. Like that is the highlight, and the food. You know, like you have snacks. You're snacking all the time, having good time. I love to watch all these chipmunks in all sorts of sizes. Chipmunks, like they're bigger, they're smaller, they're the ones like squeaky, the other ones are silent, and yeah, I would share my trail mix with them.
I love chipmunks, but I do have to push back. I wouldn't recommend feeding the wildlife, but that's just me.
I would put trail mix into my mouth, but not everything would hit the mouth. You know, like some would get.
It was spilling out.
Yeah. No, man, that section is like you have to make sure that you have the food before you start feeding others.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love the chipmunks though, like riding around chipmunks and they're just like scattering across the trail and running up trees and barking at you and stuff. I love the chipmunks. How did you fuel your ride? What were you eating?
I don't know, like, so from Tour Divide, so the trail mix is my kind of go-to, but I pimp up my trail mix. So I add dates, I add more dried fruits just to kind of increase the calories because they are like dried, so they're a bit lighter, but they still provide lots of calories. I couldn't find so much half and half as I wanted because that was my fuel in Tour Divide. So there was like, I probably had one coffee in Silverton. That's it. No more coffees. And so that was a bit low. Or kind of you would want more. But yeah, so all sorts of pastries. I love cake. So cake is glory, and I would have lots of it in various forms. Those bar Snickers, you have to have some of them too.
What's your favorite cake? Since you love the cake, what's your favorite cake?
I love it has to be easy packable. So banana bread is very one that I like to pack with me. But in the shops you can find those Danish. It's called Danish. They have like single packs, and I think one cake, because you love to write the calories in big and bold numbers. So I think one cake is like 400 or something. So that's kind of good amount of calories per gram. And so I would have lots of those, bars, trail mix. What else? Oh yeah, and I would put M&Ms and stuff to increase also, or have something different in the trail mix. And M&Ms doesn't melt that well, or like doesn't melt in sun. So that was also a good thing to have.
Yeah, I love M&Ms. That's one of my go-to. Peanut M&Ms. I usually throw it in a trail mix. I just make a trail mix and throw a lot of peanut M&Ms in there.
Yes, but and pickles. Like the first day, especially when I sweat a lot and I wasn't feeling myself, so pickles. Those single pickles in the shops, man, they are something different. Like I love them.
Yeah, we put special stuff in there. What about like, do you take caffeine pills or anything like for staying awake?
I had some, yeah, but since I drink and I would have like Mountain Dew, like I found out that one has quite a lot of caffeine.
Okay.
But as Zuba once said, like it's better not to cheat your body, because if you kind of go past the limit, or like if you are living on caffeine and you are stay awake just because of it, and the effect, and you kind of reach the max saturation of it, you can fall asleep like without the notice on a bike, and that's dangerous, I think. And I'm not very good, and I know a lot of riders who manage to kind of cut off coffee a week or two before the races, and they have the full effect. I don't want to live my life miserably, so I drink coffee all the way before the races, and that's why
I'm gonna drink some.
and that's why I don't get the full effect of those any longer. So I kind of just carry on as I do.
So on the last episode, we had talked about your lack of planning, and you kind of lean into more of the adventure side of it, which I think is cool. I mean, it's something I'll tell you a race idea that I had. I don't know if I really want to put this out on the internet, because I think this is a really good idea.
Okay.
But I actually own the domain for it and everything. The race would be called Coordinates Only. And the idea is like, I would just tell you where and when to show up and give you an idea of about how long it's going to take you, what kind of supplies you need, but you don't know anything about the route itself, no pictures, no map until you get there, right? And the whole idea for that concept is to lean into the adventure of it, because with all the information that we have now, you can do Google Street View on parts. You can watch YouTube videos. You can look at all the pictures and listen to podcasts. And there's so much information that it can detract from what is an adventure sport, And I'm out there. That's a big, motivation for me is the actual adventure of it. I don't even remember what my question was now.
No. So but you started about planning and the lack of planning.
Yeah,
and then
that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, did you go into the same one with like your trademark no planning and just rode by feel?
I mean, it's pretty clear that I showed up with the wrong tires. I should never ever use 2.2s and race Kings, which is like gravel tires in the trail. So yeah, it's like stupid mistakes. I mean, it was very adventurous race. I mean, from the things you mentioned, like Tour Divide, for example, the second Tour Divide was like smooth sailing, like more or less. And here I kind of got back to my element where shit happened. All sorts of shit was happening, and I just needed to find a way how to fix and get out.
Yeah, and you did. You did. How do you feel about your performance and your accomplishment on this year's Colorado Trail? I mean, when you think about it, how do you reflect on that experience?
It was fun. I mean, so I could be very hard on myself and blame myself for not doing the proper homework and not reading enough of everything. But in general, I'm happy. I was like, when we were opening that hard and Javier would go away ride away from me, and there was another American, Jess. He's a very strong guy. He was riding like crazy, So they were like pulling away, and I would like, okay, you guys didn't do Tour Divide. I just need to kind of shift down in the gears and just hang on there for my dear life. So I thought that I'm a bit shit, like because of the Tour Divide probably wasn't completely out of my system, and because of the Bright Midnight and all the organizational stuff there, that wasn't the best like recovery. So I was really like not feeling. But later on, I would get in the rhythm, and especially after like that wheel change, and when I would turn on the back mode and would kind of enjoy more and accept that this is a hiking race where I have my bike with me, I would love it. I just went into the flow.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about how you overcame so many obstacles and also, I mean, finished in first with a 12-hour gap? I mean, that speaks to your toughness and your athleticism, I feel like.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, yeah. What can I say? Like, yeah, it went well. I can't say anything else. Like, it's a tough mental battle. Like, but that's kind of what I'm not bad at. Like, I can handle those mental setbacks and start again and again and again.
Well, now I mean, you just got a crash course, pun intended, on the Colorado Trail Race. So, do you think that you'll be back? I mean, you mentioned having a chip on your shoulder and something to prove at AZT, but what about Colorado Trail? Do you have any desire to go back and lay out a clean run? Especially taking all the knowledge that you've learned, not just the rules, but everything that you learn from equipment to mindset to everything, you know.
Mm. So since Colorado Trail is being done both ways, right? There's southbound and northbound, or they don't call it south or north, they call it east and west, right? So I was riding down some downhills and I was wondering how is it to climb them up.
Doing recon.
So I might not be done with it, but I don't know when.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. I'm impressed that you were able to even get back so quickly. I was actually meaning to ask you earlier, but how did that conversation go with your work? You're like, so I know I just got back.
No, dude. So that's why I can do this shit now because I'm a freelance nurse now. I'll take shifts when I stopped or I downgraded myself from being a manager to just being a nurse. And now I'm only taking shifts when it suits me, or like when I'll be
Okay.
hungry. When I'll be hungry.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about that when we first chatted, but I guess I didn't.
Yeah.
I know you downgraded from a manager, but
Yeah.
you're a freelance nurse, so you can kind of pick and choose when and how much you work. Okay.
There's gonna be periods during the year. I mean, I can't race full year. That I know. I mean, I my body can do a lot or can absorb a lot of stress, but there are limits. So I don't want to race everything in one year and not be able to walk next year. So I still want to keep some of joy and hungriness for racing next year and motivation. So that's, yeah. But I'm off the leash now, yeah. Because like now in 2 weeks' time, on the 1st of September, I'm going to start Badlands.
Really? You're doing Badlands too?
Yeah.
Wow. What? Just for fun? I mean, were you already signed up for it and you're like, oh, I might as well stay signed up? Or are you using that as also part of your training block leading up to AZT?
I want to test because everybody talks about this altitude camps, right? And I never had one. And now I've spent like almost 1.5 weeks up in altitude, and some of those were racing. So I want to see how my body gonna respond to that. And 2 weeks time is kind of the window everybody, or at least I heard people mentioning that you kind of get the most. benefit out of it, and Badlands exactly fits the schedule or the frame. And Trek has launched the new Checkmate, and they're gonna take some pictures there. So there's gonna be a couple of hits in with one shot.
Okay, so we got today's August 20th, and so you said that's September 1st?
Yes.
Holy shit, man. I'm hoping to get Uba on the podcast because he decided to end his Colorado Trail early, and I think mental fatigue had a lot to do with that. So, I mean, there's two things that you're battling with a big calendar with big races. It's not just the physical, like, can my body do it? Can my body recover? Can I get trained up and get my gear ready? But also the mental side of staying that mentally competitive for an entire year. How are you managing it all so far?
That's what we talked about earlier today. Like, I don't put myself problems where I haven't met them yet.
So far, so good.
I'm fine. So far, so good. So I just try not to complicate things, and I'll deal with them when they come.
Yeah, yeah. So what were your goals be going into Badlands?
Have fun, like always. Like I've been there 2 times before, so it's nothing completely new to me. It's more like I'm going there out of curiosity to see what my body can, or how it's gonna respond to altitude, and maybe I'll meet the wall and I'll be not able to ride my bike properly, and I'll just gonna ride around and enjoy it.
Yeah. Are you prioritizing the Triple Crown over everything else, or are you just taking it one race at a time and just doing your best?
I took one race at a time. Like, I don't have anything prepared for Arizona. I know the people have special backpacks and all the other stuff. I have nothing, neither of that. So I'll have to start looking at that, and I'll probably need to go to the gym to lift some weights to prepare for the hike. Yeah, I need to start hiking as well.
Yeah. Sounds like a good idea. But that'll be the biggest gap in your calendar this year between Badlands and AZT, right?
Don't worry, man. I'll find something.
I'm not worried. I was thinking you could use that time to get in the gym and make a backpack and everything else.
But that's true. Like, I probably not gonna put anything there in between. No, I'll try to calm down a bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do whatever you want to. I know I would calm down, but I also wouldn't sign up for the Triple Crown, and I also wouldn't throw Badlands in there. So we're different humans. We're different versions of the same species.
No, but I mean, these chances doesn't come often. Like, how else could I? Like, it would be waste of time just to smash KOMs or some local loops with this, if it's gonna be the form of my life, for example. It might be not, but it might be. So I just want to try.
Yeah. I'm wondering, you've been having some amazing results. Do you ever have any goals or thoughts about what you want your legacy in this sport to be?
I'm riding the wave, man. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Not thinking too much about the future, and just like, appreciating everything that comes, like all these small things, all these small talks, all the podcasts I'm invited to, and I mean, this is amazing. As I told you, I'm incredibly lucky to get to experience this and to be there where I am.
Well, I think I can speak for the community that we appreciate what you bring to the sport, to the races, to social media, to the podcast. I mean, you are an absolute pleasure. You're a joy, and I am, for one, very grateful that you're part of the community, and you do it with such panache, such grace, and a smile on your face, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and I'm excited that we get a chance to talk to you. I'm excited that we get to watch your dot, and I think you're a real example of like a real leader in this space, man. I really do. So I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but I think you're amazing, Justinas. I love you, man. I think you're just a wonderful human, and I'm glad you're a part of this community.
Likewise, man. I really appreciate your input and that you're doing this, what you're doing, and not everybody needs to race. Remember this: adventure's out of your door. So just get on a bike, ride the goddamn bike.
Ride your goddamn bike. I mean, listen, somebody has to sit back and record the podcast, you know, like if I was out racing all the time, I wouldn't have time to talk to anybody. So
no.
I made my peace with it a long time ago. You know, it's like, it's hard to talk to, you know, some of the most elite racers in this sport and not feel that itch to be like, oh, I want to go out there. And, you know, I dabble in it a little bit, but I'm very at peace. I like to go ride my damn bike. I like to be in the nature. I like to push myself. I like to have an adventure. And I like what you said earlier. Like, I just like to ride bikes, man. That's what it really comes down to. And I think that's the one thing, no matter what controversy might go on about rules and mishaps and stuff like that, the one thing that we can all fully get behind is that we just like to ride our bikes, and some of us like to do it for a really long way.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Well, anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap up this chat?
I'll probably need to get in my flight. Like, I need to check in my bike, so that it would reach the final destination.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, we didn't say it, but I think you're stuck in Iceland right now, right? Well, not stuck, but just on a layover.
On a layover, but it's you helped me a lot to push a couple of hours, so thank you for that. And
Chris Burkard did it.
Huh?
Oh, go ahead.
No, Chris. Yeah, but he was camping with his family on the other side of the island, so he kind of wanted to come in and give me a hug, but we'll do that next time.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you, Justinas. It's been a pleasure. And no matter what the time says, congratulations on an absolute fucking fantastic race. It was fun to watch. It was exciting. And I mean, you showed up and showed out, man, in a big way. That was impressive. No matter what the finish time is, it was just really impressive. And I'm stoked for you.
Love you, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Love you too.
For having me.
All right. Well,
all right.
On to the next, buddy.
On to the next one. Upwards and over.
Over and out. Talk to you later.